Welcome, guys. Let me fix my mic here. So this is going to be a crate project. Bear with me, it's kind of late, and I guess it's Friday the 13th. Happy holidays. I'm going to jump right into this because I don't want to be up all night. I got to teach y'all tomorrow, but I'm trying to catch up on some of my work. And so like I said, I'm just going to jump right into this. And so we're going to make a wooden crate. So first things first, I'm actually going to find some reference. I want to find something kind of realistic. We try not to use 3D objects as reference because we want a reference from real life. We don't want a reference from something that's possibly been already interpreted by an artist. Millions of creative stock photos. Let's follow this and see where it takes us. Well, I honestly can't tell if this is 3D or not. But I think that's a pretty great reference. So let's see if I can't. There we go. Copy or save. Yeah. So I'm going to start a new folder structure here. For me, I do that on my D drive. JJB Art 2019. I'm going to create a folder called Crate. For me, I've done a crate before, so I'm going to do a crate 2019. And within this folder, reference, I'm going to save this. Boom. It's a good top view. I'm going to save that. And then I like this little view here. It has that cut, that sliced piece of wood in there that I think we want as well. So I'm going to save that. That's cool. I just like that look, that wooden texture. Yeah, that one's cool too. I like that. Let's save that too. It's 3D. It just has a cool concept. I'd never really seen a crate like this before. Those little metal brackets on the side. I know I said we don't use 3D reference, but here I'm going to break my rules. The only absolute is there are no absolutes. Yep. Heavy duty crate. Okay. Honestly, though, I think that's enough. I'll make sure okay. Just save one of these. Sort of done collecting reference. I think that's enough to get us going on a crate, on a wooden crate. In class, we had talked about downloading a program called PureRef. It's free. I would encourage you guys to go ahead and download that. It's a great reference viewing tool. It has little extra features like floating it on top of your active application. Because a typically program, like if you're having a picture of something floating that you're looking at, whenever you go back to your software, it would drop back to the background like that. But in PureRef's case, I can actually hit, by default, I believe it's Control-Shift-A to float that reference window here. And I'm going to go ahead and do that. Go to my folder that I created, Art 2019, create 2019, reference. I'm going to grab these references and I'm going to drop them in there. Just drag and drop. I'm holding Z and let's see, how do I do this? Z and, I thought it was like Z and right click to zoom. Oh, Z and click, sorry. I'm holding Z and then I'm just clicking and dragging. Every app has its own navigational hotkeys. Every time you jump around program to program, you're having to figure out what's what. Okay. Looks like we don't need one of those. Delete that. Okay, so reference kind of gathered. I have a vision of what I'm creating. The next thing I want to do is I kind of want to base this in the real world, and what I mean by that is kind of actual size and proportions. I want to be relatively realistic, and so I am going to also, if you guys don't have a model that you can import and check dimensions, what you can do instead is to create a box. Let's double check our units. I'm going to go to Customize, Unit Setup. We want to set this to generic units. I'm going to go to System Setup. And see, this is what I was kind of concerned about, is I want to make sure that I'm working in centimeters. And so it was Customize Units, Generic Units, and then one generic unit equals 1 centimeter. And then we just say okay and okay. And what that means is that this guy here, each one of these generic units over here for this box is 1 centimeter. So I know that a human is about 182 centimeters tall. I'm going to give him some shoulder width here too. And I could say that that's sort of my reference for a standard human. And that if I were going to create a crate, I can kind of, even if I weren't going to be exact with it, I could eyeball it and say, okay, a crate's about, maybe like that tall to a human or something. And so it's good to have sort of a starting reference point for a size. Sometimes when I work with companies, I like to get, they may give me a concept and say, okay, JJ, make this crate. And I'm like, okay, well, how big do you want it? Can you send me a pre-existing asset, something to give me some sort of size reference so that I can kind of know what to build it to, and even just sort of like a quality bar, see what their assets look like, and kind of give you an idea of, you know, how far you need to take the details and such. You know, for like in this case, in this tutorial for you guys, I'm gonna put some of these nails in there. I may even decide to do one of these brackets. I'll see how I feel here in about an hour or so. But there's that box, my human reference for you guys, so you can kind of see. I'm also going to import. You can go File, Import, and then I'm going to browse to my graveyard. No, where's my graveyard? Resources. No, it'd be under Art. Graveyard. Assets. No. Geometry. Organic. I'm gonna have a scale dude here. Let's do that. Let's import the scale dude. Nah, I don't like that dude. Import. Dude sub D1. There we go. And you can see he's already scaled to 182, really 183 centimeters. Keep this guy in here. And I'm going to sort of decide on the size of my crate. Make his wireframe black. Hit M on my keyboard. You guys probably haven't seen this material editor yet. That's okay. It's a lot like the Slate. It's just compact. I tend to work in the compact material editor for the sake of time, because as a modeler I tend to just be working with standard materials for the most part. So I'm going to create sort of a basic material here. Drag it on this guy, get some highlights going. And check my reference. Feeling like this is kind of our main idea, so the main concept I'm going for. I'm gonna make, in this case, I'm gonna make this 3D model functional. I want to make it open up, because I have a crate that's a non-functional crate, something that would just explode into a million pieces. You'd never be able to open it up, say Legend of Zelda style. So I'll eyeball this, turn on my snaps with S, and I got a box here under the create panel, and I'm just going to drag out. That's 100 right there. Boom. 100 by 100. I think maybe 128. I still kind of have the habit of working in powers of 2. It's a little bit large for a crate. Maybe I want to take it down to half that and do 64. Or maybe 92, 96. Yeah, that feels about right. So it's not quite a power of 2, but it's a division of 2. 64 and a 32 make 96, and I think this is kind of what I'm going to base my crate off of. So first things first, when we're kind of starting an asset, is that we should probably block it out. And I mean, if you were being lazy about this, you could say, well, there you go, that's my blocking. And too many times I've heard this phrase when teaching from another instructor of mine, that blocking is not boxing, but I still believe that boxing itself is kind of a process that is necessary for some people. And so, I mean, if I were to, I guess I'd say boxing is more of a simplified version of blocking, and a more experienced artist could probably just go ahead and block this out without having to box it, but I would say that that could be boxing right here. So just to get sort of large proportions, so we'd say 96 units square. This thing's a cube. I'm gonna hit Alt X. Give me a second. Alt X is to turn on your X-ray mode. I have some different hotkeys in here. I know my UI looks a little different than you guys. Don't fret. I'm still gonna let you know sort of default hotkeys as I do this. So one thing I'm kind of noticing is that both of these sides of this crate cap sort of that middle section. So you see that middle section, these middle planks don't go out past these sides. And so that means all of these planks are, none of them are exactly the same size. And so there's really two different sides to this crate. There's a longer side and sort of a shorter side. And that's important to note if we're going to do this correctly. And so here's my blocking, right? 96 units. I think I'm going to maybe duplicate this box. So I'm just going to do a shift, and I'm using the move gizmo. I'll do a shift drag out to the right, make sure that's a copy. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and right click, convert to editable poly, and I'm going to start, let me turn off X-ray mode for this particular one. And I'm just going to go and delete these faces. What that did for me is it created a side of this box for me with the pivot point or the same as the original. So if I could actually quick align it back to the original boxing mesh if I wanted. So starting with this asset, I'm just kind of, there's a lot of pre-planning involved if I'm going to do this kind of smoothly. So my method of blocking here is I'm going to kind of subdivide these up. I might make one, let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, roughly 8 planks tall. So I'm going to select through both of these both of these edges here. I'm going to do a connect, and I'm going to set the connect to maybe 7 connects, which would leave me 8 planks. But I'm not sure if that's kind of how I want to do it. I might add kind of wanting this box to be square. That's what I'm hung up on. I want it to be a perfect square, and that includes the lid. So if I treat this square like the side and then I add a lid on top of it, it's gonna prevent my asset from being a perfect square. So I think we're gonna cut into this object a bit. And so what I'm needing to decide is the size of my plank. So say that's a plank. How thick do I want to make this? What looks good to me? 6 units? No, maybe a little bit thick. 4 units? Kind of liking the 5 units, honestly. So what that means to me is that I'm going to use this as a guide, and I'm going to subtract off 5 units from my box. I don't want you guys to get caught up in all of what I'm doing here. I'm just, if you want to eyeball it, kind of make yours a little more of an oblong crate, that's okay. I'm not too worried about it. There we go. So I'm going to go back to this little side here. Reconvert it to editable poly, redundant, but and then I'm going to run probably 2 connects, 1, 2, and hit check, and I'm going to move these in place of that sort of 5-unit box like that. I'm just going to snap these into place, and to make sure that your units are snapping like mine, you can go ahead and right click on the snaps tool. I set mine to either you don't have to have grid points checked on, but I tend to, I usually turn that off. And then it's vertex, and then under the options tab, enable axis constraints. And that's allowing me to sort of snap these edges to the nearest edge or vert that I'm choosing. Something like that. There we go. And now within here is where I'm going to put my other planks. So I'm going to connect again. I'm going to do a settings connect. That little settings box next to the connect tool. I'm going to dial this up to 7. There we go. And that puts 7 connects within those 2 outer connects that I did. Immediately I'm going to go ahead and split these edges. So I'm going to select them all. I'm going to hit the split tool under the edge sub-object mode. I split that. And what that did is it made all of these separate elements. They're no longer one plane. And that's going to help me here in a moment when I shell these. It's going to treat all these as separate planks. I don't think we need this anymore. I'll hide that. Back into my material editor, I'm going to use these. I'll put that material on these planks. I'm actually going to select these inner planks and detach them so that they're easier to work with. Detach. We'll call this side A. And then I think I'm going to go ahead and drop a shell modifier on this. So under that modify panel, modifier list, shell. And it's actually going the wrong direction, so I'm not going to do an outer mount. I'm going to do an inner amount of 5 units because that's kind of what we had decided on. Oh, now that I'm seeing it again, I'm almost not liking the 5 units. 4 units. The lid will be 5 for whatever reason. Okay. Got my planks here, and I'm thinking we should go ahead and duplicate this. I'm going to hold shift and I'm going to use a rotate tool. Let me right click cancel out of that. I want to turn on my angle snaps. You can do that with A on your keyboard. Hold shift, and now it's snapping to 5 degrees. 180 degrees is what I want to shift, rotate, copy that to. I'm going to hit OK. And then I'm going to do that one more time. 90. I'm going to hit copy again. On this one, I'm actually going to drop back down into that modifier list, back down to that editable poly base object. I'm going to select these outer verts and with snaps on, move them inward so that they fit and they're not just phasing through each other. I'm going to rotate this object, shift rotate again, copy. So since these are about 5 units thick, I want this little inset in here. And I think how I'm going to do that is I'm just going to duplicate with a shift drag, duplicate those back, and take this outer one and start tearing it up. So I'm going to convert it to editable poly. Right click, convert to editable poly. And probably just delete taking some artistic license here. And maybe I'll just move this down. Something like that. And I'll take this top one and move it up to match that. Yeah. Let's duplicate with the shift to rotate here. Really, you could be creating new boxes every time you do this. I'm just gotten comfortable working within editable poly, and so I tend to just take what I want right out and duplicate, and I'm just working straight within this object. Line those up so that it fits. Looks good. Go back to my element sub-object mode. Duplicate that to element so it stays within this object. Shift drag it over. And there's sort of our outside. This would be side B because it's our shorter side. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this. On this side A. You're seeing how I'm having to adjust these sides as I move forward into the Highpoly, and it's like I just shift drag that back, and now these planks are phasing through each other again. So make sure to grab those under the editable poly, and I'm actually going to hit F3 on my keyboard so I can kind of see what I'm doing. It's wireframe mode, kind of allows you to see through objects, and it allowed me to kind of get that last vertice that I had missed. Let me pull this in to match. Okay, let's select these other vertices on this side. So I can drop into wireframe mode with F3 again so you can see that. Basically, I just selected those verts. Move that inward. Turn vertex mode off. Back up to shell modifier. Turn my wireframe back off. Yeah, and it seems that that's fitting. I fit this one side, but when I duplicate, let me hide this. I hope you guys are following me. I know I'm going to get kind of I'm kind of going fast here, but It seems like there's a lot going on, but it's not that bad. Shift rotate to copy. Boom. Copy. I'm just sort of duplicating over that other side, moving these planks back so they're sort of inset. Use my snaps, grab that corner vertex and choose to match to that vertex so they sort of sit in line with each other. Go. So I'm just kind of observing. Having to make adjustments as I make this thing. Alright, so let's make that square sort of outside now for this bigger one. So I think I'm going to keep I have a shell modifier in here. I'm actually going to collapse that in and just kind of repeat the previous steps. Delete these middle ones and then use a rotate tool. Shift rotate this. I still have angle snaps on. Clone to element. Keep it within that same object. Using snaps, snap that into place. Make an adjustment as far as the length of this. I'll grab those bottom vertices, move them up and snap them. Let's make it. Yeah, I've kind of messed this up. Didn't really plan this box being square very well. That's okay. Okay, I'm gonna have to make an adjustment to that side B. It looks like didn't quite plan that out right. I'll finish this side. I didn't take into account the height. Okay, so there's my side A, and that actually fits along with the lid. You can see that this is my lid height. I'm just using it as a reference right now. I mean, you could create all these boxes one by one. I know that I've been doing a lot of sort of split techniques. It's okay. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and adjust this side B. To match. I want to select these top corner verts, and you can see how they're kind of overlapping with other objects, and it can be confusing. So a little trick here is I can actually select this element, select both these elements through polygons. I can hold Control on my keyboard and then click that vertex mode, and it'll convert my element selection into a vertex selection, so it left me with all those vertices selected. And so rather than having to go in and select these verts, I did a selection conversion, and then I'm going to deselect those bottom verts and just sort of line them up now where they want to be. I'm going to do that again. Go back to element mode, hold control, convert to vertex, deselect the top ones this time, line it up with there. There we go. So this side's pretty much old at that point because I've already adjusted all these other ones. We'll keep it like that. Yep. That one, this one's kind of old now too. Delete that. Actually, no, that one's right. Looks like this is the one I need to adjust. So let me adjust those corner vertices. Pull them in. Line up right there. That one's old. Let's go ahead and delete that too and just recopy over this whole side here. And actually when I copy it this time, cancel that. Rotate 180 degrees. Oh, I'm going to make this one an instance. And okay. Instance means whenever I make a change to one, it's going to make the same changes to the other. Not in terms of where I'm moving it around, but in terms of if I go into editable poly, and I'll show you this real quick. And you know it's instance because now editable poly is bold. The text is bold, so it lets me know kind of right off the bat that this is an instance of something in the scene. And now when I make these changes, they both change at the same time, so that might be helpful later. I may need to collapse it and botch that and it not be helpful later, but we'll see. Grab both of these, do the same thing. My rotate's not working properly. Adjust. Yeah, instance. Turn on my snaps with S. Snap that into place. There we go. So this is starting to look like more of a blocking. So to make the lid and to make the lids, I'm actually going to continue to use my my side pieces here. I'll use side A, and I'm going to shift rotate copy. Cancel. Shift rotate copy 90 degrees. I don't want this one instance because I'm going to change it to, the lid's going to be a little bit unique. Snap that into place and then move it over and snap this one into place. See, this is what I mean. The lid's a little bit of a different size. This looks like I don't need these little kind of reference pieces anymore, so I deleted those. And I'm going to make this lid fit. Vertex, I'm going to select these vertices and these, move them into place, snap, 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 hold control, select all those vertices, snap those into place, and there's sort of the start of my lid. I'm going to recycle this side here. It's the longer side or the shorter side? Which one's longer? Yeah, so I'm going to use this one. Rotate 90 degrees. Doing a shift rotate so that I copy it. Move this up. Move it over. Drop in the wireframe, kind of see what's going on. So I'm doing a hide here. I'm actually selecting this guy and doing a right click, hide selection. And I just want to make sure this lines up because this, like I said, I'm going to make this one functional. So I want this lid to actually fit. So I'm going to grab that, snap it right into place, drop down into edible poly. I still haven't destroyed that shell modifier, which is good. Sometimes I tend to be kind of destructive in my workflow. It's good to maintain what you can while you're modeling. So I want to be able to snap this evenly. I don't like how this one plank is kind of cutting through and then this one fits perfectly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that maybe when they were making this crate, they kind of ran into the same problem, so they had to cut the planks, those last couple planks, they had to cut them to make them fit. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to select both those edges on either side and do a connect. Ooh, too many. It's for my last connect. We're going to jump back into those settings and zero that out, so it's just down to 1. And then I'm going to delete that excess. And then I'm going to move this over and snap it into place. What? Ooh. So I guess we're doing one less plank altogether. Wait, what? How am I going to do this? Deleting 2 halves seem to have left me with a half. Think. Is that how I want it? Maybe not. Maybe I want to maintain that. What? What am I doing? I really only have to cut one? That's kind of annoying and uneven. Not really a fan of that. Let's undo a couple of times here. So instead I'm going to eyeball this a little bit. So we're getting rid of like 30% of each of those planks. So I just kind of shifted it over, eyeballed it, and then I'm just going to snap these outer verts into place. There we go. So that fits, right? It's looking like we need another lid on top. So I'm going to duplicate this side too. We might need to make some adjustments. We'll likely need to make adjustments on this one too. And move this up. Snap into place. Snap into place. This lid's got to go all the way across. So, I'll start with this outside plank here. Move these verts into place. Just going to do this twice over here. I mean, I could copy that, but I think it's going to take about just as much time to do it again. Yeah, I could use a symmetry modifier, but then I'm also dealing with the split within the plank, and I don't want to have to deal with that right now. I'm just trying to keep this thing sort of as clean as possible, as simple as possible. Sorry, my cat's making noise. Hey. Snap. Snap, snap, snap. There we go. So now this is kind of my lid. That's what I was hoping for. I kind of wanted that little chunk down at the bottom so that it actually fits into place. Like that. We'll work on attaching these later. Now that that lid's kind of done and set up, we'll flip it, copy. I'm not very good at using instances, admittedly. Like I said, I tend to be kind of destructive, and I'm always converting to editable poly and recopying things over. Okay, I think the last thing we're missing is that diagonal plank. And it looks like it goes from a flat to a flat. So let's see how to do that. It's on the longer side. So let's do that on the longer side. This guy, I think 45 degrees is a good angle. I'm kind of watching the bottom of the screen to see my numbers there. 45 degrees. Clone to element. Slide down. There we go. So what I'm going to do to actually convert this to vertex, deselect that. Something I showed you guys in class. My recover here is using edge constraints because I don't want to have to eyeball this into place. Ugh. So I'm going to do edge constraints, and I'm going to edge constraints allows me to sort of slide it. I got it most of the way. I'll turn snaps on, keep sliding it, and just match one of these edges over here. Do the same for these vertices. I'm going to slide them down Come on. Ooh. Turn off edge constraints. It's not helping me now. I am gonna have to eyeball this. There we go. So I would say that this, that's old, is hidden. There we go. That's sort of my blocking at this point. Line it up. Oh, it's not looking completely square. See, this is why it's good to box things, because I thought this piece here was going to be square. But it's not. So I wonder what kind of went wrong. Either way, no worries. I think what I'll do is I'll just raise these top vertices. So I may drop into like a front view. You can hit F on your keyboard. I have special hotkeys for that. Select these top vertices. Activate my y-axis with snaps. Snap it up. Do the same thing for the bottom. Okay, now that I have my crate sort of all blocked out and on, sitting back on the center of the world, I want to fix a bunch of my pivot points, because if I were to select all these objects and then move them to 0, 0, 0, you see it kind of collapses in on itself, because all the pivot points for all these objects are in different places. I'd like to fix that. I'm going to go to the hierarchy panel, turn on affect pivot point only, and they're all my pivot points. See, they're in a bunch of really weird random places. And so I'm going to do align to world, and then, so not a move to origin? Guess not. So I'll right click on the move tool, and then I'll right click on each one of these little spinners out to the X, Y, and Z. So right click, right click, right click, and that moved it to 0, 0, 0. Turn off my affect pivot point only, and now it doesn't matter. Uh-oh. What happened? That was weird. Affect pivot point only. I think that happened when I did it. What happened? Was that the center of the, wasn't the center of the object? I think it was the align to world. No? Weird. Hold on 1 second. Tell you what, cats keep me on my toes. He's trying to dump her water bowl over. Perfectly good water. Just rather lick it off the floor. Where was I? Blocking. I blocked all this out. And I set all my pivot points to 0, 0, 0. And I think I'm just going to hide these guys. Hide. So now with centering those pivot points, it kind of allows me to really blow all this stuff up. Oh no, JJ, what have you done? And then I could just grab all these, boom, 0, 0, 0, and that's back to where it was. So that's good. So really the next step to this, oh goodness, how is that happening? Why that's not snapping to the right place. I think because it was an instance, possibly. It's okay. Pew. Take all this. It's tempting. Convert that to an editable poly. Maybe I want to save a duplicate. And then this guy, I'm going to collapse. Boom. Convert to editable poly. So all those shell modifiers are gone. There are plugins out here to kind of add edge loops on everything. Could make this go really fast. Unfortunately, I don't have said plugins, so I'm going to have to do this kind of the manual way. So what I'm going to do, ring. I'm just going to start in on this. Ring. Connect. I set it at 65. And then maybe going with the Swift loop like I showed you guys in class. Boom. Boom. And I want to see this. I've been showing you how to use Mesh Smooth. I'm actually going to drop a Turbo Smooth on it. In this case, it's about the same. We can talk about why later I'm using this one over the other. Just kind of looking at how tight I want these edge loops. May decide 65 is not enough later, but we'll try it out for now. 65. Ring, connect. Yes, 65. Ring, connect. Ring, connect. Ring, connect. Connect. So this is just going to be a bunch of rinse and repeat, but each one of these planks, because they're different sizes, gets a little bit of a different connect value. Ring, and I got to make sure to connect on all sides too. So check that with Turbo Smooth. So 2 iterations. Turn my wireframe off. I mean, it's a little loose, to tell you the truth. So I actually think I'm going to tighten these. Ring. So 65 isn't enough. Maybe I want something like 85. Check. Ring. And when I'm doing a connect, see, 85 is not enough on this one. I'm going to actually try and keep those sort of equal distance from the edges. Yes. Make sure to get it this side too. Ring, connect. Not 98, but whatever is going to keep it sort of equidistance. Something like that. 58, 60 on this side. Check. So let's do that. Select these two. Ring. We can do more at once. Connect. Ring. Quick swift loop. Just actually, let's not do that. Ring. Let's keep up with the connects. 98. Do all these planks at once. Ring. Connect. Don't be afraid to zoom in. Don't try to do everything out from super far away. Check. Drop a Turbo Smooth on here. Or even a Mesh Smooth. They're going to do the same thing. So these planks are a lot tighter, which isn't necessarily super game friendly, but it does look a lot more realistic. And if I were going to add variation to this to sort of break up sort of that flat gamey look, or not flat gamey look, but sort of these flat, tight, realistic edges like this, they tend to get lost in video games. And so if I were going to vary that, what I'd probably do is take it into ZBrush, maybe beat up some of the edges a little bit, make them look a little more organic. But I think I am going to keep it kind of where it's at. Ring, connect. You guys were asking if it was necessary to subdivide these meshes or to put a mesh smooth on it, and I would say yes, because you can already see this side looks completely flat while this one's starting to have some separation between planks, and that's really what we're looking for. We're also suffering from those sort of lazy edges like I was telling you guys. This is a lazy corner, and it's looking like I just don't have enough geometry to kind of hold that in place. So I'm going to do another connect down the middle of this slanted one. Check. See, yeah, that helped a little bit. I'll split this edge with a chamfer. Sort of double back these edges up here. There we go. That's sort of better. Oh, forgot one on the outside here. Ring. Ugh. 2. So I just did what's called an isolate. You can actually right click and go to isolate selection. It just sort of hides everything else while it allows you to, so you can sort of hides everything else so you can work on its inner pieces. So let me do a bunch of connects real fast to, whoa. Check, and then let's do, go to my top view, hit T on your keyboard to get there, but I'm just doing it so I can select these outer edges here, select them all at once, and then ring, connect, I'm going to connect these sort of horizontal edges, ring, connect, smooth. We'll get that separation and those sort of edge highlights like we're talking about. Good. Unisolate. Right click. Unisolate. I'm feeling like this little diagonal here is just too sharp. So I don't know which edges are exactly causing that. Either way, I'm going to remove those old edge loops. I just did a loop on them and removed them. Ring, connect. I'm going to pull back on how tight they were. Do something more like that. Probably do the same on these inside ones too. Loop, control backspace to remove. Select that edge. I'm going to do a ring. And then do kind of reconnect these, pull them in a bit. And there we go, and that reads a lot better. There comes a point where edges can be too sharp, and you just might as well not have mesh smoothed it at all, because you're adding all this geometry and not getting any edge highlights. Not really good for anything but crashing your computer. Okay. Do one of these other sides. So there's my isolate again. I don't want to have to reconnect every single one of those, so I'm going to cheat here. Just duplicate these. Yeah, they're not the length that they need to be, but that's okay. I'll drop into my vertices here, and I'll just sort of readjust using my snaps to align to the ones that were there previously. There we go. Select that old one. Okay. Delete. Yep. Do the same thing here. Copy. Select both of those. Isolate. And I'm just going to sort of align all these verts. This side doesn't have that sort of center cross, so I'm going to go ahead and delete it on this side. And then I'm going to adjust all these vertices to sort of fit. Unisolate. I'm going to delete that old one. Honestly, it's probably a good time to save. I'm still in an untitled file. Oh, before I lose everything. What did I save? Art 2019, create 2019. I have a reference file in here. I'm also going to create a max folder. Boom. Call this create 2019 underscore 01. Okay. Good. So I got both these sides made. There's really no point in well, really I just gotta copy these over. Whoa. Turn off those snaps, man. There we go. Copy that. And so that I don't have to sort of guess at, which one I need to select, I'll just right click hide these and then delete the pre-existing ones. This, and then unhide all. Right click unhide all. There we go. Now all my sides are sort of subdivided. Let's finish up this let's see. This one I'll probably just do by hand. Ring. Let's do them all at once though. And look at that. Nope. There we go. Ring. Connect to trying to keep it the same distance away as these other ones so that the edge highlights are the same from object to object. Connect. Rotate, select these, connect. select a edge on each one of these. Ring. Yep. Connect. Pull back on that value. Check. Yep. And without even mesh smoothing, I'm just going to jump into this one because I know what I'm kind of knowing what to expect here. And these are different sizes, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to select these, ring, connect twice, pinch value. Do these outside ones as a separate value because they're different sizes. See, distances are different with the same value. So pull that value down, check, go this way, select all the way across. It's basically like a ring, except I just selected all through the objects. Connect. Turn this up. Check. Let's go to, I don't know, front view. Go back into wireframe mode, and I'm just going to select through. Connect. Check. Seeing some shading here I'll probably take care of a little bit later. There we go. Wait a minute. I forgot. Turn that back on. There we go. I mean, so that's basically the crate. I'm thinking, how many? They got 1, 2. They kind of have 2 on each side. Let's make a nail here. This isn't likely proper size. It's okay. 1 centimeter. It's kind of a small nail. Let's do 1.5. Yikes, maybe a little bit too large. Yeah, that's a nail that size is going to make this thing look like a cartoon. So let's not do that. Yeah, 1. So I'm not going to subdivide these nail heads. So I'm just going to make sure that they're round enough to begin with that they don't need to be subdivided. because I don't want to add a bunch of unnecessary geometry to these really tiny details. It's just going to slow my scene down. Right click, convert to editable poly. Take this bottom face here. Give it a little more visual depth by scaling that bottom face outward. And chamfer this top edge. Collapse that center face. I'm going to inset that and then inset and collapse again. Because I'm not going to subdivide these, I'm going to add my own edge highlight. Just a subtle chamfer here. I don't know if I want these to have sort of an underlip like this. Might help kind of catch some ambient occlusion later. My student said, what? Ambient occlusion? We'll get there. So there's my nail head. Let's create another standard material. Let's copy this over. Call this dark metal. Light wood. Make it a little brighter. 80. Yeah. Change that wireframe color. This is going to be my original. Let's name it so it's not called cylinder. Call this, I'm just going to call it nail. Call it nail OG underscore OG. And then duplicate. And this one is just going to be called nail 01. I'm going to use nail 01 to duplicate it everywhere. So let's see. Top view. 3. It still feels a little bit large, but let me duplicate some of them around and see kind of how it looks. I'm going to do this free form because when people nail, it's not very mechanical, and they tend to it'll add some personality if we do this like kind of random. Yeah, I'm feeling like these are a little bit large, so I'm going to scale them down. I'm just not liking how it looks. That feels a little better to me. So I rearrange these. Yes, they're going to be random and they're going to be asymmetrical. That's okay. These weren't machined, they were done by a human. Oops. So I'm just going to duplicate these nail heads. Copy, slide them into place. Yup. And the way this reference is set up is that these inside planks just have one. So I'm going to do that. And so from here, it's just kind of ship dragging these nail heads around. I'm just kind of finishing off these final details for this Highpoly. Oh, don't delete my OG. Getting tired. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. So something I'm doing here is kind of moving my gizmo based off of my selection. And if you look up here on the main toolbar, I can do it kind of based off of individual objects. I can do it based off of the center of my selection. I can do it based off of 0, 0, 0, or the world, as they say. And so what I currently need is to rotate this based off of the center of my selection. I'm going to duplicate all of these. -90, I'm going to do copy, move it over to the side. Make sure they're actually sitting on the surface. There we go. Deselect those. (180 degrees). Duplicate it. Slide these over. Almost done with our crate. Yep. Don't mind me reaching that moment when the music is so good that you turn into a trans-dimensional space goat. Zoning out, as I'm saying. 180. forget the bottom. Actually, delete those. Let's not rearrange again. One last thing I want to do just to kind of clean this up. I'm going to go ahead and delete all my mesh smooths off here. And I'm going to apply sort of a single subdivision to all the objects so that they share a subdivision, and I can turn it all off together. I was a little bit sloppy with how I added these on here. I could have saved myself some time, but it's a good learning opportunity for you guys. Delete. Delete. Always ways to do things better, faster, smarter. So let's do that. So I believe I have all those mesh smooths off. Yep. If you notice, I didn't select the nail heads. So I'm just going to go, instead of mesh smooth this time, I'm going to do turbo smooth, but what I'm doing different is that I have all my objects selected at once so that when I go in and I do a turbo smooth, where's my turbo smooths? There it is, turbo smooth. Let's do 2 iterations, maybe 3, and then I'm going to turn on isoline display. And what that's done is it's actually allowed me, if you'll notice, my turbo smooth modifier is italicized, and so when I turn it off, it actually turns every object that I had selected when I applied that turbo smooth on. It's basically a modifier that's set to an instance, and so it allows me to turn them all off on almost every object in the scene at once. And what I could have done in the beginning is had taken a pre-existing turbo smooth modifier from like an object that already had it, held control, and then dragged that modifier to the next one, and then it would have italicized it. And then as I turn these off, but I didn't, and it caused me time in the end having to go back, delete modifiers, and re-add them. So just, it's good to think ahead, work smart, not hard. Boom. I'm going to add a group in here. Group. I'm going to go group and then group. And I'm going to name this group, and I'm going to name it lid because I want to do something here. And I'm probably going to just for right now, select the rest of it and do a group and call it base. Real quick, I'm gonna file save as, iterate that so it's crate02, and then I'm gonna delete this old crate, and delete the dude, and then I'm gonna go file save as again and do a crate03, and that crate02 has my some of my originals and things in it, and as well as my dude, and then crate03 file has is clean, and it not quite, delete, file save. So that original, now that this crate3 file is clean, has instanced modifiers. It even has the lids and things self-grouped. So if I wanted to, I could pose this. There we go. And that's sort of how to model a crate. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you were able to learn something. I hope I didn't go too fast, and I hope I explained enough that you're able to follow along and kind of get the tools that you needed out of this tutorial. Thanks so much for watching. I'll probably take this crate further in another video. We'll talk about low poly and textures. See you next time.